Because of the time limitation, if there are certain questions which you could not ask because it was limited time, you can reach out to us. You can drop a message into the Teams chat box, or you can reach out to me at my email address, j@vnmtsolutions.com, and we will reach out to you with the answer. So, thank you everyone for joining in. Let's get started. We had enough time. So today's topic for the webinar is NetSuite work order and assembly build. So this is basically a functionality of NetSuite. So NetSuite provide a light manufacturing, premium manufacturing, and advanced manufacturing. But in today's session, we will be touching base on the light manufacturing, which normally covers up the work order and the assembly build. Agenda for the today, I'll start with the introduction of myself. So my name is Jay. I am a NetSuite functional consultant and VNMT solutions. I have around 6 to 7 years of experience in a wholesale distribution and manufacturing business. Been user of NetSuite from 2018. Use NetSuite as an end user, and now with the VNMT from last 1 year as a consultant at another side of the table, where we understand the challenges of the business and try to deliver the solution. We'll go through the VNMT itself. Initial setup, what are the setups that is required for to use the work order and assembly build? What are the main core concepts that you need to be aware of if you want to use this functionality within NetSuite? What is assembly creation, a bill of material, different revision of bill of material, work order and build process. So we will tackle from start to the end, how to create a work order, how to do assembly build. And lastly, we will have some time for question and answers. So firstly, who we are. So we are VNMT Solutions. We are a NetSuite and Siligo partner. So we do end-to-end NetSuite implementation, customization, and a third-party integration as well. This was founded back in 2017. So we are in the market for quite a long time. We have a presence in Australia, India, and USA as well, and slowly expanding into UK region as well. So let's dive into the topic itself. Firstly, what is work order and assembly build, and what kind of setup that is required if you would like to use on this functionality within NetSuite. So let me dive into the NetSuite account itself. Okay, so firstly, we will navigate through setup, company, enable features. Under enable features, if you dive into items and inventory, you will see assembly items, advanced bill of materials, and work order. So these are the three checkboxes that you need to tick on if you would like to use work order and assembly build within your NetSuite environment. Cool. Now, that is the setup of the NetSuite. Now, what are the main core concept that needs to be that we need to be aware of before we start doing the work order and assembly build? So some of them is firstly it's component, assembly item, bill of material, work order, and at the end assembly build. So component is basically an inventory item record that is created in your NetSuite environment where you are tracking the inventory, but that inventory is being used and utilized to make a kind of a assembly or a finished product. That's the definition of assembly. Assembly is basically, of course, the product that has been formed by using a different component when you do your work order. A bill of material is basically all of the different components, either it's an inventory, non-inventory, any consumables that goes into the process, a list of all of the components that goes into making a final product, that is called as your bill of material. Fourth one is work order, of course, to create a transaction in NetSuite, that's called as work order when you're trying to build something. And once you build the work order, that is called as assembly build. And that will be a transaction which will record that which particular product you made, how much quantity you made as well. Here, a quick note is work order does not create any GL impact at all. Once you build the work order, assembly build will have a GL impact on your accounting. Okay, cool. So let's start with the inventory item itself. So to create an inventory item, firstly, you will navigate to list, accounting, items, and new. So within NetSuite, there are different set and different type of inventory item that you can create. But for this particular webinar purpose, we will only focus on the inventory item and the assembly item. But if you would like to know more about what are the different item categories exists in NetSuite and what is the use case of it, of course, you can reach out to us and we are more than happy to help you out. So let's say, firstly, I will go and create an inventory item. Let's say we are making an inventory as a bike, and I have this as a bike stand test. My unit types would be eaches, of course. For the normal business, you would prefer to put down much details, but for the webinar point of view, I will just tick box what is necessary to create the record. Text schedule would be taxable. And once you save it, that's your inventory item created within your NetSuite environment. So once you have a different set of inventory item, the next step will go to create an assembly. So how to create an assembly? So again, same steps. You go to your accounting items new. And here you can put down and click on assembly. And let's say I will call that as bike test. That's my display name as well. My unit type is again eaches. And this is also taxable. Now we have our assembly, but now we need to define in the system that what are the components that is used to form this particular assembly. So that's where the bill of material BOM comes into the picture. So before we go ahead, let's take this as an example. Creation of an assembly item. So let's say we are making a VNMT bike. Of course, we are the technology company, but let's for an example purpose, we need a bike seat, bike stand, bike chain, bike frame, cables, brake. There is one piece that is missing, which is quite important for all of the businesses. I would like you guys to tell me what is missing here.
Engine.
Engine.
Bike doesn't have an engine.
Branding.
Bike as in cycle.
Cycle.
Sorry.
Bicycle.
Tire.
Let's
Labor.
yes and no. I didn't put down all of the components, but the one that I'm looking after, it's not a physical thing.
Branding.
Sorry, what?
Wheels.
Branding. Your company branding.
Wheels.
Nope. It's very crucial to have to
Servi-
calculate.
Wheels.
Mechanic.
I said it's not a physical item.
Cost.
Mechanic.
Closer.
Servicing.
Oh, production
Yeah.
costs.
Production cost, but what production cost in terms of
Your actual services or machining
Man-
costs, manufacturing costs, etc.
manufacturing cost, but that cost is calculated based on
Components. Time.
components. Yes, one. What else goes with the components when you are making something?
Labor
Manufacturing
time.
efforts.
Efforts, time, assembly time,
Yeah.
labor. That is the main crucial one, which normally business don't record as part of the BOMs. So yes, thank you for the participation. Okay, so let's move into the BOMs. So BOM is basically all the different components which will be used to create the assembly, which defined as a bill of material. And it is very crucial to have your BOM accurate, because if your BOM is not accurate, your pricing of the assembly, sub-assembly, or your final product is not accurate. And that is why we need a time that goes into when you are making something. So let's go back to NetSuite environment. And I have the same assembly that we just created. If you go under the manufacturing and if you go into edit mode, you will have an options to add your bill of materials. Now with the bill of material, one thing to note is there are two type of bill of material. One is the bill of material which is tagged and assigned to assembly, and another one is a bill of material which is a standalone transaction. Now, a standalone bill of material is mainly used when you are making a generic product which you would like to keep it as a stock. As an example, let's say I'm running a printing business where I am making a white t-shirt as a bulk. And then based on the customer order, I just do a print on the t-shirt and I will dispatch to my client. So in that scenario, you don't need a white t-shirt as a BOM for all of the different print that you are doing. In that scenario, what I will do is I will have a standalone BOM, which will be a white t-shirt. What are the things that goes as a component? What are the labor hour that goes into that particular making that white t-shirt? And I will just create a work order for those. Once I have that white t-shirt created and stored as a stock, as my orders comes in, I will put down one component which will be a effort or a printing and use that as an inventory and finalize my work order. Here, let's say bike test, we are creating a bill of material. So first thing first, we put down what we want to call it. So bike test, bill of material, of course. And for now, I would like to include all of the children and the parent subsidiary as well. And I will go save. Add and save on the assembly line. Now, the next step is adding your components. So once you go back to your bill of material, you will have an option to create a revisions, assemblies, system notes, and communication. So bill of material, NetSuite functionality is bill of material revisions, where you can actually define to the system that this particular revision I will be using for 2025 year, for example, and moving forward, I have a different version. Another example could be I am using 10 components to make a bike or a bicycle right now. But from next year, due to the technology enhancement, I'm using only 8 components, but I still would like to record that what I was doing in the past. That's where your revision comes into the picture. So let's say when you go to the create revision, the first one would be VNMT bike 01, let's say silver, now random name. Starting date would be today. And for me, there is no end date unless as a business, we decide to change something within the process. I use cables, let's say 4 of them. Another component that I use is chain, let's say 2 of them. Bike stand, 1 of them. Bike seat, 1 of them again. I think that's all enough for our demonstration purpose. So once I save it, it will come up under the revisions that this is my name of the BOM revision. This is the starting date and this is the effective end date, which is blank here. That means unless we don't put down an end date, system will by default pick up this particular version whenever you create a BOM, whenever you create a work order for that particular BOM, sorry. Under the assemblies, you will get a list of the assemblies. I got a question from Abhi, sorry, on the Teams. What is the purpose of component yield? Good question, Abhi. So component yield is mainly used for the how much percentage of your component went into your final product. Here we are talking about bike. So if you're using one chain or one brake, it will be a one chain and one brake into your final product. But let's talk about a scenario where you are making a cake, for example, where you see that 5 liter of sugar coating went into as a component, but only 75% will come on your final product. So in that scenario, your component will become a 75% because you lose that 25 during the heating process or baking process or any other things that actually reduce that amount. I hope that makes sense and answer your question.
Yes, Jay.
Yeah, perfect.
Jay,
Okay.
I've got one more question.
Yep.
When you were in the revisions tab, there was a column called as item source.
Mhm.
What's that for? Can you
Yes,
open the
so
page?
sure, no problem. So the item source that you are referring to, it's you are actually defining to the system that either the system should be using as a stock, or there is another option as a purchase order. So let's say if it's a very high expensive item, which you would like to only purchase when you have a work order and a commitment from your customer, then you normally set it up as a purchase order. Let's say, for example, engine, as some of the person mentioned already, that if it's very high cost value, then you normally go as a purchase order. You don't prefer to keep it as a stock.
Makes sense.
Okay. Abhi, you have a question still?
Yeah. So what
Yep.
happens when you add another revision? Does the revision one would still work?
No, so one revision will work at one time. So that's a good thing. Let's take an example here. So let's say if I go and put down this particular revision, before that, let me, yep. So create a new revision. Name is version 2. And I will say that start date is 28. So from that 28, this particular revision will be used whenever you create a work order for that particular assembly. So the previous revision will not become inactive. It will still stay there for your reference purpose, but it won't be used in your day-to-day transaction anymore from that particular date.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I think that's all of the concerns so far. All good. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So for our particular example, I have created a VNMT bike. I have put down the components. That's the one. So if I go under manufacturing, that's my bill of material. If I go to the edit, I have my assembly time added as well, which is 2 hours. So let's go back to create a work order itself. So creation of the work order, there are two aspects. Either you can create a work order as a mass work order creation, or you can create a work order as an individual. If you are using a reorder point and a back order quantity, then system will drive you to create a work order by itself. To create a work order, if you go to transactions, manufacturing, marks create work order and enter work order. So mass create work order is basically if you go to your reorder point items, here you will have Melbourne warehouse, which is the location that I'm using. I have currently one available. Back order item is 0. Quantity on order is 5. Bill point is 20. Preferred stock level is 50. So now it is actually driving me or suggesting me to create a 44 to hit the preferred stock level. But I don't want to create 44. Let's say I would like to start with 20. So if I go in that scenario and submit. So if you have multiple assemblies in your business, this particular page will give you the highlight of all of the different assemblies. What is your quantity on hand? What is available? What is on a back order? And what is the ideal quantity if you prefer to meet your maximum preferred stock level? So let's go to complete status, and system has created a work order for me, which is for the same item and the quantity that I defined already. Assembly is bike 2025. Bill of material was by default selected by the system, which is currently live as a revision. If I had a new revision from tomorrow, it will pick up that particular BOM revision and it will populate here. Billable quantity is 20, build is 0 because we haven't built anything yet. And here you can see all of the items. cables, bike frame, and your assembly time as well. If you would like to create a standalone work order, that can be done as well. You go to your transaction, manufacturing, and enter work order. Here you can define which subsidiary you are dealing in, who is your customer, if it's required, which assembly item. So let's go VNMT bike 2025. And my quantity is 1. This is my BOM. And as soon as I select the BOM, it picked up my latest revision or the revision which is currently live, a silver package, all of the components, 111. Another thing is, if you want to modify, you can still modify that on this level, but it won't impact your BOM, which is your main BOM. So if there is any change on your production or on a component, then you need to first, it needs to be changed on your BOM level, and it will automatically reflect on your work order. So I'll click on save. We got a question. Yes, Mr. Abhi.
So on what basis you can see the work orders, which items that needs to be created as a work order? So do you set up anything on the item level?
Yes, so there is a preference where you can set up on the item level. Either you can purchase or either you can build. So that way it will drive you to create a work order.
Okay, is it like when we reach minimum quantity, does it give you an option to create a work order or?
Yes, yes. So let's go back to the mass work order creation. Come on. Yep. So this is where we used before reorder point items. And now, before I had a VNMT bike populating there because my reorder hit point was 10, but now I have a work order in the process already. So now it's not coming up here anymore. But answer to your question, yes, you can create it from here. And as soon as you hit your reorder point, that's when the system will drive you to create a work order and start manufacturing that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Perfect. Cool. Let's go back to where we were. So we are here, work order 79. So now the next stage is once you have a work order, all the process and all the things that happen on the floor. Now it's time to build. So the building of the work order is you specifically go to a one work order transaction, you click on create build. Here we are supposed to build 20 items, but let's say I am doing a partial batch. And as soon as I change that number, you can notice that all of the numbers changed here by itself. So if we are making 12 out of 20, that number will change based on what you have set up on your BOM. So if you have set up that one quantity should be used of bike seat for one item, one final product, as soon as you change to 12, 13, 14, the rest of the thing will change by itself. But here, let's say you have spent 28 hours instead of 28, you have that options to edit at the time of the assembly level. So once I save, it has built my assembly build from the work order 79. Projected value is based on all of the component value plus labor. And I can see what was consumed to make this particular batch. And if I go to assembly level itself, let me define the location. Now I had 1 in stock and I built another 12. So now my total stock on hand is 30. I hope that's clear so far. So yes, bomb revisions and independent bomb, which we have covered off. We got the question, Jitendra, yes.
Hey, hi. Just I have one question.
Yep.
So after creation of the work order, I need to unbuild the assembly item. So is there any GL impact for this?
No, once you unbuild it, it will reverse it out. So that's something that I will show you as well. So mass create work order, mass build work order, and bill of material inquiry. So there are a couple of features which is natively available from NetSuite. So if you go to manufacturing, here there are a couple of more options because we have more advanced modules for our demo environment. But here you can have your unbuilt assemblies. Answer to your question. So once you do a unbuilt, it will reverse it out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, so there are a couple of other options that you can have. You can create your build assemblies here. You can build your work order in a bulk. If you have multiple work orders and if you are trying to consolidate into one, so you can see here, I have all of the work orders created so far within my NetSuite environment, and I can select which one I would like to build, and I can submit, and it will build the work order for me. The work order from location, let's go format warehouse. That's all 2 of them I have in that location, 5 and 20, and submit. So the process that we did manually, if you have a list of work order which just needs to be built without any changes, you can use the mass build work order feature. Another one that I would like to touch base is bill of material inquiry and component where used inquiry as well. So this is something that will give you a high-end overview about what are the different components that has been used for that particular bomb. So if I put down a VNMT here, by 2025 bomb, it's my division. Here you can see that these are the component that's been used as part of this particular assembly under this particular revision and this particular bill of material. Now, another thing is I can have a very quick view as well. It says that what kind of quantity on hand I have, what is available, and is there any backorder. Same thing, a reverse way around. I would like to find out that this particular component, where it's been used or how many different assemblies it's been used. You can use the component where used inquiry, where you go subsidiary. Let's say I want to find out by tables. Yes. So we have another joinee. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So here, as soon as I put down VNMT bike cable is my component, and I would like to know which different assembly use that particular component. I will get the list of the assemblies of material, which revision is currently using, what is the label, component yield, the question that we just got, bomb quantity per assembly, and also the stock on hand as per right now. So we covered off bill of material inquiry, component where it is been used as well.
On a revision or on components, what if we use assembly items instead?
On a revision on a component. So sub-assembly item, you mean?
Yep. If a component is an assembly item.
Yeah, so it will populate here. I don't have the example, but if you are using a sub-assembly to manufacture an assembly, and of course, because it's part of your BOM, that will be populated here.
Okay. So would I be able to manufacture the second one as well?
Yes, you can. You can either treat that as a sub-assembly where you normally keep the stock for it, or you can treat them. There is another option in NetSuite which call as a phantom sub-assembly. For the phantom is basically that you don't prefer to keep that as a stock, but it requires a different component to be formed and create that sub-assembly. Let me quickly show you where you can see that. Yes, Jitendra, in the meantime, I'll finding that's the checkbox that I was talking about, which is mark subassembly as a phantom. So if you want, so if that particular item or subassembly require a different component to form that particular subassembly, but you don't want to keep that as a stock, you can put down and mark that as a subassembly phantom. So when you create a work order for your final assembly, all of that will be part of that work order or BOM itself. Yes, Jitendra?
Yeah, hi. I have one more question. So
Yep, go
before
for it.
releasing the work order, is there any option to check the work order state, such as whether it is in progress or planned or released? So you just can, they can have some option like whether it is in planned or we need to manufacture that. It's very useful for the manufacturing team to identify such type of things.
Yes, so there are different status. So first status will be a planned, which is something that you intend to make in the future. And of course, release is something that you have released as per your production planning. And the last stage would be once they build the work order, that work order will go into the build status. Here my by default setting is a release. That's why when I created a work order, it went into a release status. But yes, you can use the plan status as well.
So while creating the work order, we need to
Mhm.
create, we need to put the status as release or plan it like that.
Depends on if you are not making it right now, and if that's something that you are planning in the future, then put down as a planned. And so normally most of the businesses where manufacturing works either on a weekly schedule or on a monthly schedule, right? So they
Yeah,
prefer to plan it in ahead, and as the time close by, they will change the work order status to release.
it sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions?
Hi Jay, there is a question in the chat. Please have a look.
I need to unveil the assembly item. I think that's something that we already touched base. Before releasing the work order, is there an option to check the work order stage, the progress plan? Yeah, I think that was the Jitendra's question, which I just answered. Staying on, yep, of course, we have 4 minutes left. So if you have
We
any
have one
questions,
more question. We have one more question with add back. You can see when completing mass work order builds, how can you add the batch and best before for each of the builds? We have that in chat box. Can you please check that?
sorry, repeat that. Your voice is breaking up a lot.
Jay is the
Yeah.
last question in the chat.
Before releasing the work, is there an option to check the work order stage, such as whether.
There is one more question,
Yep,
so
got
I'll
it, got
just
it, got
jump
it.
in on.
Completing the mass work order build, how can you add the batch and best before for each of the builds? Yes, so when you are in the mass creation, if you are using a one batch, then it will allow you to. I haven't set up any assembly, which is actually a batch assembly or a serialized assembly in my demo account. But yes, there is an option you can put down a batch. If it's the same batch for multiple work orders, otherwise you have to go with manual. I hope that's the question. Uh, But yeah, drop me a message or an email if you'd like to see that in action, and I'll prepare a serialized assembly or a batch assembly, and we can go through that